All right, let's just jump right in. You've heard the names everywhere, right? Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro. These GLP-1 drugs have absolutely exploded. They went from being for diabetes to this massive cultural thing, all because of these incredible weight loss stories. People are calling them a miracle, a total game changer in healthcare. But there's another side to this story, a much darker one. Thousands of lawsuits are now popping up, telling a completely different story, one about devastating, life-altering side effects. So today, we're going to look at the promise versus the peril of Hollywood's biggest weight loss secret. And you can always count on Amy Schumer to just say the thing that everyone else is thinking. You know what's so great about this quote is how it just slices right through all that Hollywood noise. For a while there, these drugs were the industry's worst-kept secret, something whispered about on sets and at parties. But now, oh, the secret is definitely out, and the conversation is getting very, very public.
And yeah, it is way beyond whispers now. We've got a whole wave of A-list stars and absolute legends in sports openly sharing their stories. I mean, we're talking about icons here. Tennis great Serena Williams, basketball Hall of Famer Charles Barkley, and of course the one and only Oprah Winfrey. They've all stepped up trying to destigmatize these drugs, framing them not as some kind of vanity shortcut, but as a real, legitimate tool for your health.
This quote from Oprah, wow. It really gets to the emotional heart of the promise side of this whole thing. I mean, for millions of people who have struggled with their weight their entire lives, dealing with all the judgment and the blame, the idea that there's a medical solution, well, it feels just like she said, redemption. It completely reframes the whole struggle from being about willpower to being about biology, and that offers a ton of hope where there used to be just frustration. So how do these things actually work? The science is pretty cool, actually. GLP-1 agonists, that's the class of drugs, they basically copy a hormone your body already makes when you eat, and this does a few really key things. First, it tells your pancreas to release insulin to handle blood sugar. Second, it slows down how fast your stomach empties, which is what makes you feel full for way, way longer. And third, it actually works on your brain to just dial down your appetite. You put all that together, and yeah, it often leads to some serious weight loss. And here's where the narrative gets shaped, and shaped very carefully. You have Serena Williams, one of the greatest athletes in history, saying this isn't the easy way out. But you gotta look at that second line, paid ambassador for Roe. This isn't just someone sharing their personal story out of the blue. This is a massive, multi-million-dollar marketing campaign. A world-class athlete is being paid, and paid very well, to promote these drugs. And that really starts to blur the line between a personal health story and a very profitable business deal. So you might be wondering, does all this celebrity marketing actually work? Does it move the needle? Well, I'll give you one number that tells the whole story, 27%. So what is that 27%? That's the spike in people booking appointments for weight loss drugs on ZocDoc. And it happened in just 72 hours, 3 days, after Serena's ad campaign dropped. The influence is immediate. It's powerful, and it shows a straight line from a celebrity endorsement to people trying to get a prescription. And look, this was not a one-off thing with Serena. When Whoopi Goldberg talked about using Mounjaro, appointments jumped 29%. After Oprah's special, they went up 18%. The pattern is crystal clear. A huge celebrity opens up, the public pays attention, and doctors' offices get flooded with calls. This is what happens when medicine becomes a mainstream trend. So you've got a drug that really works, you've got some of the most famous people in the world endorsing it, and you've got the public rushing to get it. It sounds like the perfect success story, right? Well, this is where things take a really sharp and frankly a very troubling turn. Because behind all the Hollywood headlines, there's another story emerging from thousands of regular people. Okay, just look at the contrast here. It's night and day. On the left, you've got the side effects everyone kind of knows about. Nausea, constipation, stuff that's uncomfortable for sure, but usually manageable. But then look at the right. This is what's being alleged in these lawsuits. Stomach paralysis, intestinal blockages. We are talking about permanent brain damage and even vision loss. These are not just side effects. These are conditions that can absolutely destroy a person's life. Let's focus on that first one because it's the most common allegation, gastroparesis. It literally means stomach paralysis. Remember how the drug is designed to slow down your digestion to make you feel full? Well, in these alleged cases, it works too well. It slows things down so much that the stomach just kind of stops working. Food doesn't move on, it just sits there, sometimes for days, leading to all sorts of horrible problems like malnutrition and constant severe vomiting. And believe me, this is not just a handful of isolated cases. As of early 2024, we're talking about more than 4,400 people who have filed lawsuits against the drug makers like Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly. That's thousands of individual stories from people who say this so-called miracle drug that promised them a new beginning actually left them permanently injured.
And to really understand the human toll behind these numbers, you just have to listen to people like Mark Smith. His wife, Robin, was on Mounjaro, and after months of just terrible, non-stop vomiting, she suffered from such bad malnutrition that it led to a type of permanent brain damage. His quote, "It just puts a devastatingly human face on those statistics we just saw."
And the stories that are coming out of these lawsuits are they're harrowing. A woman named Jacqueline Bjorklund said her vomiting was so severe and went on for so long that her teeth started falling out. We just heard about Robin Smith's brain damage. And another plaintiff, they described a catastrophic event where, in their words, their colon literally blew up. We are so far beyond mild discomfort here. These are life-shattering medical emergencies. So, what do all these thousands of lawsuits really boil down to? It comes down to one simple but really powerful legal concept: failure to warn. The argument from the plaintiffs is that the drug companies either knew or they absolutely should have known about the risks for these severe complications, but they didn't properly warn people on the label. They basically robbed patients and their doctors of the chance to make a truly informed decision. And his timeline is a huge piece of their argument. I mean, just look at the dates. Ozempic got approved by the FDA way back in 2017, but it wasn't until September 2023, almost 6 years later, that the FDA made them add a warning for intestinal blockage. And more warnings for severe reactions and even vision loss didn't come until 2025. What that suggests is that for years, this drug was on the market while its full risk profile was still, being figured out. And the plaintiffs are arguing that they were the ones who paid the price for that delay. So let's just pull this all together for a second. What are the big takeaways here? First, celebrity endorsements, especially when they're paid, are an incredibly powerful way to drive demand for a drug. Second, these GLP-1 drugs, they can offer amazing, life-changing benefits for a lot of people, but they also carry some very real, very severe risks. Third, you've got thousands of lawsuits now claiming the drug makers failed to properly warn everyone about those risks. And finally, this whole situation is really a clash of two giant narratives: the promise of a miracle drug versus the peril of some truly devastating consequences. And that leaves us with this final, really tough question to think about. When a prescription drug gets marketed by A-list celebrities and blows up into a cultural trend, who's ultimately responsible for what happens next? Is it the companies that make and sell it? Is it the celebrities who get paid millions to promote it? The doctors writing the prescriptions? Or is it the patients themselves who are asking for it? It is a super complex question, and it's right at the heart of this very modern medical revolution.